So thank you guys. Welcome to Pasture Way channel. Here we inspire to empower you spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, you name it, while sharing insights and this transformative benefits of LifeWave patches and technology. Join us in our journey so that we can be the light, be the faith, and work together to make a difference, one patch at a time. I want to introduce you to our mentor, Brother Lorenzo McGrew. He is an SPD who had tirelessly helped us, supported us in everything that we do with LifeWave. Today this is our Super Saturday where we can share what we have learned, but more importantly, how we can grow. So Lorenzo, you here with us?
Yes, brother, let's do it.
All right, take it away, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Ed, for the invitation. And I want to let everybody know that it's super amazing to see you again. And my biggest purpose on this morning, evening, whatever you are, is for you guys to be able to maybe see something that you didn't see before, because I'm a little bit afraid that a lot of people don't realize what we really have in our hands. I'm afraid that some of the people don't really see that huge opportunity that we have to really take this to the next level. So for that, I invited this morning, for me this morning, okay, so I invited this morning three amazing beings that I respect big time to share a bit with you, because whatever I say is nothing compared to this three very successful individuals that they have conquered areas in this universe that I haven't yet. So with that, I'm going to share my presentation, and hopefully you can see it there. And I was looking for a title, and I put this: take advantage of the LifeWave $1 billion wave. You know, that trend, if you like numbers, trends are that trend. So the trend is going up right now, but at one point it's gonna keep stable. So I want you to take advantage of the wave. I want you to take advantage and use this vehicle and get all the way over the top. So I'm gonna share something with you from David that really caught my attention. I want you to visualize David in an opportunity meeting. Imagine David in an opportunity meeting. Do you think he will be connected with a business? He will be connected with a science? I don't know. My guess is he will not be connected with a business, because we know that his heart isn't helping the planet and really understanding how everything works. So I've seen that some people that are trying to do this business, and they have that mentality of trying to understand every single thing of what we do, they're going to stay there. They're going to stay there. I want you to observe and really be able to see your team and see what every single one in your team wants to really achieve. And then at that moment, you will be able to understand better who can drive this wave with you. So to start is why David Smith decided to use MLM. And instead of me telling you 7 stories and my theory and what I think, I'm going to let him tell you why he decided to create an MLM.
Interesting. When I was in college, there were only, out of a large group of friends, there were only 2 of us that wanted to be entrepreneurs. And so I went to school in New York, and all of our friends wanted, to work for IBM, work for big accounting companies. Like, no, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to have my own business. So my friend and I, we would go to different types of opportunity meetings looking to see, well, how can we be an entrepreneur? And we ended up going to meetings for a number of networking companies. And I was the person in the audience asking the technical questions about, how does the water filter work and all those kind of things. and I could never get an answer, so never joined one. Like a lot of people, I had not a good experience with the network marketing industry because of some of the players that I met. But when I started LifeWave and was doing an evaluation of how to market this, I was thinking about radio and TV. I approached GNC, who wanted to market the product, looked at infomercials and talked to companies about doing that. We did some testing. And I had an experience where a fellow that was a business friend introduced me to somebody. We had a business lunch, and then he ran into somebody in a movie theater who was interested in investing in LifeWave. I met with that guy, and then he introduced me to a medical doctor who introduced me to another medical doctor who was friends with Coach Richard Quick at Stanford University. So in about a 3-week period of time, I went from sitting at a lunch in Buford to being out at Stanford University putting patches on Olympic swimmers with Richard Quick, a 6-time U.S. Olympic coach. And when I really thought about that, I said, this would never have happened with the product sitting on the shelf at GNC. Would never happen. Yeah. This is all networking. I need to go back and reevaluate this. And so in July of 2004, I flew out to California. I was invited there by Coach Quick to see the Olympic trials. And when I landed, he said, well, we have an issue. The Olympic Committee thinks that there's drugs in these patches, and they want you to, explain what the technology is. So I met with this fellow, Dr. Scott Rodeo, explained what the patches were. They took them down to UCLA Microanalytical Lab, validated, there were only natural materials in the patches, and we were vindicated. But over 1,000 people contacted me wanting to buy the product and be a distributor for this new technology. And I was like, okay, the alarm bells went off. Clearly, what God is telling me, this is supposed to be a network marketing company. And 3 months later, on November 10th of 2004, we started sales. We did $500,000 in business our very first month.
So, as you can see, you have the answer why he decided to create an MLM. Now, everything is great. I mean, we know that the technology is amazing. We know that the vehicle is almost perfect, and it's a great company, but that's not important. The important part here is, what is your goal? What do you want to create? And I usually don't call it goal. I call it result based on this definition. And the definition is result. The definition is a consequence, effect, or outcome of something. So what do you want to create? For me, all of us are creators. We are always creating something, either during our day, during our lives, in our families, in our relationships. We are always in creation mode. So whatever is happening around us, I have news for you. I'm gonna talk about me because I don't want to talk about you. But whatever is happening in my environment, I'm creating that. If it is either good, not that good, or bad, I'm creating that. So the good news is that you're in control, so you can change that. So the question here is, what is your goal? What is the result that you want to create? And more than anything, I recommend you to ask your team this. Okay, you already know that LifeWave is a Lamborghini. What do you want to create? What do you want to really do with LifeWave? Because at the end of the day, LifeWave is only the vehicle. Okay, LifeWave is not going to do more than what he's doing, which they are doing an amazing job. All the logistics and everything that the business have to worry about, we don't have to worry about that. Our only job is to market. And the more we market, the more money you're going to make. As simple as that. So based on this, super important for you to understand what you want to create. Where are you going with this? Because if you do not know, I have news for you. Imagine a little ship in the middle of the ocean that doesn't know where he's going. Every single wind is going to move him to the left, is going to move him to the right, and that's what happens. And sometimes I see brand partners that they're looking for the flavor of the week. Oh my God, you know what? What he's doing is doing 10 push-ups in the morning, so that's why he's making more money. Oh, no, you know what? This other guy, what he's doing is doing this, so let's do that. And it's okay. I mean, the action plan, you can change it as many times as you want. But the consistency of what you do is what is going to get you to create the result that you want. So I'm going to give you an example of this guy that I really respect big time. And I want you to pay very close attention to when his boss told Jeff.
When I told my boss, David Shaw, that I was going to do this thing, he went on a long walk with him in Central Park, and he said, finally, after a lot of listening, he said, you know what, Jeff, this is a really good idea. I think you're onto a good idea here, but this would be a better idea for somebody who didn't already have a good job.
Right.
And that actually made so much sense to me that he convinced me to think about it for 2 days before making a final decision. And it's one of those decisions I made with my heart and not my head. And I basically said, I don't want to regret. When I'm 80, now 90, I want to have minimized the number of regrets that I have in my life. And most of our regrets are acts of omission. They're things we didn't try. It's the path untraveled. Those are the things that haunt us.
So I want you to pay very close attention. I mean, his message has a lot of meaning, but I want you to focus on this. His boss told him a better idea for someone who didn't have already a job. And I want you to just focus on this, because how many people in your team are making actions based on other people's determinism? The biggest challenge that I see in humankind right now is that people are always asking for advices. And guess what? If I ask for an advice, let's say I'm going to ask for an advice about astronomy to Pastor Ed. And I respect and I love Pastor Ed, and I respect what he knows. But at the time he's giving me an advice on astronomy, he's giving me his own reality, his own point of view. So is that going to work for me? Maybe not. So notice that his boss, on Jeff Bezos' case, his boss was more focused on his reality. He didn't want to lose him. So based on that, guess what? Jeff was about to miss a huge home run if he wouldn't obey the advice that the boss was telling him. And if you don't remember anything about today, I want you to always remember your best counselor is you. go for what you want to do. You make a mistake, perfect. Get up, fix it, and continue. But if you are basing your decision on somebody else's advice, I have news. You're making his mistakes. So that's why I would really recommend you to pay very close attention and really do what you want to do. Don't go and look for other people's opinions or decisions that is going to influence your decision. So hopefully you can see that, because this guy, I mean, he has done a huge business. And I just ask you, what would have happened if he paid attention to the advice that the boss gave him? I said, yeah, you know what? That's not a good idea. I think I better continue working for my boss. I'm so glad he didn't, because what he has done is amazing. So some of you got a survey, which is super important. And the survey was, what holds you back? Prospecting, sales, product knowledge, team building. And I saw some of the answers. And I'll tell you what I saw, like, wow, is very impressive. And then we ask you, where do you need support? Prospecting, sales, products, and team building. And one of my observations that I did was people didn't know what they wanted. And people didn't understand their teams. That was the two top answers that came to my mind, that came up. People like, you know what, that team is not growing, that team don't understand, they don't pay attention to me. And I said, wow, that's very, very interesting. And then we ask you, what kind of support is best? One-on-one coaching, product information, group training, Zooms, follow-up strategies, prospecting techniques, compensation plan, which this is great. I mean, this is part of what you do, but the secret is not here, to be honest with you. The secret is in you. When you really visualize, decide, and believe that you can create whatever you want to create. I'm going to show you a perfect example. When I was observing this, I wanted to share it with you. I want you to notice what is happening in this video. Now, notice one thing. Imagine when you're talking to your team and you're like, yeah, let's do it. This week, we're going to make this amount of sales. This week, we're going to break 10 directors. This week, we're going to break 20 managers. You're going to be sounding like this. And the other person is not their reality. Like, no, I only want to make $20 this week, because that reality is super different. So I want you to always think, what is your team's reality? Are they really understanding you? And it's not their job to understand you. It's my job as a leader to understand them, where they are, what reality do they have, and work with the reality. I mean, I've told you before, I fly with whoever wants to fly, run with whoever wants to run, walk with whoever wants to walk. I even go super slow with whoever wants to go super slow. I will never stop with whoever decides to stop, because this is so good. And we have a huge responsibility to help so many people on this planet. But I'm going to show you the video again, and notice and imagine when you're talking to someone that is vibrating in a totally different reality. This gentleman could spend hours and hours hitting the same thing, and the vibration is not going to get to the other person. And that's what we do sometimes. We approach prospects that prospect, we haven't really vibrate on what he wants. And I'll tell you one thing, this is not difficult. What prospects want are benefits. They don't want products. They don't want technologies. They don't want a huge company, a small company. They want benefits. And we have that. We have what every single spiritual being still have a body out there it's looking for. They want less stress, less inflammation, better health. So that's what they want. So now take a look at the difference here, okay? And I want to share something very personal with you. Imagine when I started Liveway, this was where I was. On the left, you're going to see I was living in an apartment with 6 people. You can see a guy still sleeping there. And I was so glad that I found this picture. I said, wow, incredible. And then on the right, that was all my belongings. And out of the boxes on the left was part of a campaign that I was already doing in New York that is called The Truth About Drugs, where we wake up people and tell them the truth about drugs. Imagine when this was my reality. Imagine what my friends thought when I invited them to this business. They thought I was crazy. But I didn't understand that they had a different reality. But I have good news for you. Notice what happens when you find someone that is vibrating on your reality. And I'm going to show you this example so you can see the difference. This is exactly what happens. And the good news is that there's people there looking to create a big business like you. But maybe you're talking to the wrong individual. The good news is as soon as you find the right one, then that message goes across and it's going to happen what is happening now. I mean, Pastor Ed duplicated what he saw. When he saw how many people he can help, he really resonated with this idea and understand it and run with it. So ask yourself, if you have a prospect and you feel that the message is not going across, you may be talking too much. But I'm not going to evaluate for you. I want you to see yourself and analyze what you did and why the message didn't go across, okay? So I'm going to show you the whole video so you can see the difference when you're talking to a prospect that you're not reaching you or one of your team members, and see what happens when you talk to a team member that really relates to what you're going to create and runs with you. Okay, so hopefully this is something that you can remember every single time you have a prospect or a team member that you feel that he's not duplicating you. Maybe the question is like, what is the part of the prospect or the team member reality that I'm not understanding? I'll tell you that the biggest mistake that I have done, and I continue doing it, is thinking that people is going to think the way I think. And I have news for you. It doesn't work that way. Every single individual has his own reality. So how do I know my prospects or my team member reality? The good news is super simple. Asking questions. Just ask questions. It's not about dumping data on the prospect or dumping data on the team member. Ask them questions. And start with a very simple question. What do you want to achieve with Liveway? What do you want? What is the result that you want to create? And what is the purpose that is moving you to do this? And what is your action plan? And I have news for you. Don't invalidate the prospect and don't invalidate the team member. Whatever he decides to do, let him do it. Can you suggest something? Of course. And I always do. I always ask permission to the team members, like, can I suggest something to you? Sure. Okay, what if you do this? But I don't want him to do it because I said so, because it doesn't work that way. He has his own reality. Once he can analyze what I suggested, then he makes his own decision and say, you know what, good. I was talking to a leader this morning, and he told me, Lorenzo, I want to run a promotion that I want to do this month for the team. What do you think? And he was sharing with me the promotion, and I said, you know what if you do this? I said, you know what, that's great. I think I'm going to do that. But he did it because he thought it was a good idea. And because I suggested it. But that's the best way to go. If you think your team are going to do what you want, I have news for you. People will never do what you tell them to, unfortunately, because that's part of the human mind programming. But the good news is that people is going to do what they see you do. That's the good news. So it's super important. Once you have the result that you want to create, it's super important that you ask your team members what motivates you to do LifeWay. Because I have news for you. If the purpose of that brand partner is not as strong, Netflix is going to be stronger. Or browsing the internet all day long is going to be stronger. Because there's no purpose really pushing that individual to create what he wants. So it's important to ask him, I mean, what drives your passion of growing the LifeWay business? You know, and just listen to him. Don't give him your opinion, because this is not your purpose. This is your brand partner's purpose. Now, super important is the action. How much time is your brand partner going to invest in creating his business? Because I've had several different examples. I've had people that said, you know what, I'm going to become millionaire with LifeWay, which is great. Then when I get to that question, so how much time are you going to invest per week? Oh, I'm going to invest 3 hours a week. Okay. And then without invalidating or evaluating what he said, I'll ask him, do you think 3 hours a day, 3 hours a week will get you to get $1 million? And then the individual realizes, like, well, maybe not. Okay, so what could you change? Your best tool are questions. Your best tool is not dumping data on people, which unfortunately sometimes we do that. And I've done it many times in the beginning with prospects. I want to tell them how amazing LifeWay was. I wanted to tell them how amazing the technology was. I wanted to tell them how amazing the patches were. But people did. I realized that people don't care about that. Most of the people have a question. What are the benefits that I'm getting from this? So that's why I'm a true believer of what I do, which are super simple actions. So once you have the result that your people is going to create and the purpose that they is pushing them and the action plan, beautiful. Trust me, you have what I have used, and I use every single day to create this business and to do whatever I want to do in this lifetime. I always use these 3 simple tools. And I just want to repeat it because it's not about secret sauce. There's no secret sauce. I'll tell you, whoever's having more success is doing more actions. Simple as that. Because at the end of the day, energy is energy. And money is energy. Okay? Money is energy. So the more you outflow, the more energy you're flowing out. Prospecting, sharing testimonials, following up, calling people, demonstrating, that flow is going to come back. When doing any of that, I have news for you. Maybe that flow is not coming back. Because one of the syndromes that I got infected with, getting into administration mode. I went, instead of being in recruiting mode, which is so much fun, I went into administration mode. And I started administrating my teams. And then I started noticing that the income was going down. So, oh my God, what's happening? Until I realized, oh my God, I'm making a huge mistake. I already know that money is energy, and administrating my teams, I'm not flowing any energy out. So I'm going to change that. The good news you're in charge, and you can change anything you want to change on your action plan. So once you decide to flow that energy out, I have news for you. That money is coming back to you. Now, I'm going to share with you the simple actions that I do. I'm not sharing it with you to do it. I'm just telling you, this is a simple way that I build my business. I use the one that you see on the left is a card that has the information about stem cell from one side and the pain information on the other side. I use that all the time. And I put on this bill small town in New York, in the state of New York. Guys, this billboard, as messy as it looks, I gotta tell you one thing. This brought me a talk to over 60 chiropractors. Black letters and underline it, always in recruiting mode. I try to do the least administration mode because I saw what happened when I went into administration mode. So for you as a leader, I recommend you get into recruiting mode. It's so much fun. I mean, honestly, when you're in recruiting mode, it's so much fun. You know, you're really moving, you're flowing out. When you're in administration mode, sometimes you get frustrated because your leaders are not going to do what you want them to do. Why? It's not because they're doing it wrong. No, it's because they have a different reality. As simple as that, with the example that I gave you before. So one other action that I do, whenever I have promotions, trust me, I send it to all my prospects. And I tell them, like this one, the way I did it, I'm not doing it the way the corporate is doing it. And I'm not saying the corporate did it wrong at all. The way they're promoting is save $50. I don't think that's a strong message. But what I'm telling my prospects is, you know what? You have a huge opportunity. You can get the reverse aging technology and the anti-aging technology that we have, every single thing for only $280 plus shipping and tax. And you have no idea how many packages of this I have sold. And it's so much fun. So much fun because you and I know that every single individual that uses this technology are going to have benefits. So I'm going to close with this. I admire and respect Richard big time. And just, Pastor, I don't know if you're available. Could you do me a favor? Could you read what he says here? Or Sister Vicky?
Sure. It says, if you're thinking about coming down to the elevator of dreams and pitching your business, what makes a perfect 60 seconds pitch? Keep it simple and short. How would you tell your mom about this or your friend in the pub? Don't waffle, don't use jargon. Number 2, be clear. How does your business idea fix a problem or improve a customer's experience? What positive impact will this idea have? Number 3, be bold. Don't be afraid to be disruptive or do something differently. That's the point of an entrepreneurship. But you also need to demonstrate it works and show proof.
God, when I saw, I want you to know, I admired Richard so much that when he created Virgin Music, and then what happened to his company, and he had to close Virgin Atlantic, the airline, and he spoke to his employees and told them, you know what, we're going to close. I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to hire you back once I'm doing better. And he did. I was like, my respects to this guy. Because every successful individual that we see It's not that he didn't have problems. I mean, this guy has had so many problems. So there's a word that he said here that I didn't know the meaning of. So I know most of you know the meaning of, but there's a definition in case you want to clarify it. So don't use words above people's understanding. Say the most easy and understandable way to people. And honestly, with the business that we have, we don't need to talk. Use words only if you need to. But if you are demonstrating the technology, if you are sharing the tools, you don't need to talk. So with that, I want to ask you a question. How can I support you? And I hope you can ask your teams that. How can I support you? Is there anything specific? And when I say specific, I don't want you to call me or send me a text of 3 hours long. No, be specific. Is there anything specific I can do to help you succeed? And trust me, we'll be happy to help you. Because at the end of the day, every single one of us want you to succeed. So with this, I hope this really gave you something this morning. And thank you very much for making the time, Pastor. And if you want to, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Appreciate what you have said to us, Brother Lorenzo, and I agree with you 100%, because one thing that you've taught me from the very get-go is people's realities, and sounding that frequency is a really, really good example about people's realities. I often used to call you, remember in the beginning 3 years ago, and I'd be frustrated. Man, this particular people just drive me crazy. What am I going to do? You know, I've given everything to them and still. And you always would say to me, reach out their reality. Where do they want to be? And you always say, ask questions. And it never dawned on me till today that questions is a way to be able to gather thoughts and implement action in whatever their reality is. So it's if you, I'm a geek in math. And so if you look at it, if you do a formula, right? Questions equal plus reality equals what you're going to get into action for a person, right? So if you want to move somebody, of course, you said they're going to do what you do, not what you're asking them to do. And I remember when I first came into business, because as a business person, as an entrepreneur, I know that you need materials to do a business. And I went ahead and got the best projector, I got the best technology, best computer. And in my mind, I'm like, that's not going to duplicate. Most people are not going to spend $7,000 on the computer, $3,000 on the projector. This is not going to happen. And so I stopped using that. And I stopped realizing how important it is to be in the people's level. And, you know, it's not about being above people or thinking that I'm greater than them. No, because servanthood to me, it's everything. I believe that when we serve people, we get the best of people because we're in the trenches with them. You know, I never, and that video that you played, it makes me chuckle because it makes me think about all the time that we've been together. It's only been 3 years, but you showed a lifetime of experiences. If anybody would thought, how long did it take us to do all those experiences that we had together? It was a lifetime. You know, I consider you my best friend, Brother Lorenzo, and I really do, because you've shown me from servant and leadership and also duplicating what you do. That is what I want to do. Sister Vicky told me the other day that she has a person that she wants to go patch, but she's 2 hours away. And immediately I thought, wait a minute, we were 4 hours away from you. Let's go do it. Why? Because it was what resonated with me. And the reality is we have to duplicate what you have shown us. We know how successful you are in this business, and it's not about money. Again, I want you and everybody else that's on the call to understand that this is not about money. It's about serving people. And when it is that we serve people, the money would just come automatically. The rank, I'm one rank away from being an SPD. To me, it's like unthinkable. Really, if I can do it at a part-time job that me and Sister Vicky are doing it, can you imagine if I go full-time? I mean, there are things that I'm lining up right now, guys, to give our business to my children. I really do, because I know that deep in my heart, like I said in the intro, we want to help people financially, spiritually, physically with this. There was no other avenue, guys. Trust me, we've looked. There was no other way to be able to help people to get them to point A to point B the fastest way. And I know that even scripture tells us, that as a man thinks or as a woman thinks in her heart, therefore they are. So I want you to know that this man over here on the side of me has shown us how to be disciples of helping people and to be abundantly clear with everybody that we're not seeking after money. Money just comes. Money is, how can I say, a benefit of helping others. See, we don't seek riches. We seek the script, and this is a part of me. I'm a pastor, so I'm going to tell you, I'm not taking you to church, but I'm going to give it to you. We seek not the king money. We seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Everything else that we have need of, clothes, food, shelter, it will come when you seek God's kingdom. And what's the best way of seeking God's kingdom? By helping your fellow neighbors, helping your neighbors, loving them as you love yourself. So thank you, Brother Lorenzo. I'm going to leave it for anybody else if they have any questions, but I'm going to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I knew that this was going to be a turning point for us and on our lives. I really do. When I tell people that this business has changed our lives, totally, absolutely, 100%. And not just me, my wife, but my children and my whole entire family. So thank you, and I appreciate it, and we love you dearly. Any guys, any questions? Brother Tito has his hands.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I would like to say thank you to Pastor Ed for inviting me last minute. But I really appreciate that, thinking about me. In fact, I'm still sick, but, I put myself to listen to Brother Lorenzo because I highly respect this guy here. And this is my first time to see Brother Lorenzo doing this kind of motivation. And I really appreciate it, Brother Lorenzo. You did a great job. In fact, I was really paying attention about the vibration. When the guys keep on banging it, how come there's no reaction on the other side? I noticed that, the frequency is high, 500 something, and that's why it's not reacting. But when he balances it in the same level of hertz, it vibrates. So what resonates me is when you talk to people, it's like you're communicating with somebody. If you are smart, more than snap than the person, and try to smart them, of course you're gonna leave. You're gonna, you know, they're gonna leave you, right? They're gonna don't like you. But if you level them with their intellectuality, I guess that will help you to communicate properly and will have a good way of relationship. I think that's how I understood on based on what Brother Lorenzo demonstrated to us. So now it makes sense because when you try to be there like somebody that you know somebody, and then you're talking to somebody that doesn't know anything, you try to pretend that that you're better than them. I guess it's not really effective. So the person will not react. So by doing so, based on the demonstration, I learned something today that I have to learn to level with people in communicating. And I learned something today, and really appreciate that, Brother Lorenzo. And I'm so happy that I was able to join your meeting. And even I'm not in your team, but I guess Pastor Ed loves me, and really appreciate it. And thank you so much, and great job, man. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Tito. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
You know, one thing that give me one second.